Down the sideline for RU. He's got it, and he's gone. 20, 10, 5, touchdown! San Francisco! Ayuk is on fire!
Guys having fun yesterday. 49ers end up with a win over Tampa Bay. The schedule gauntlet now begins. Thanksgiving Day against Seattle, followed by the Eagles, and then Seattle again. Now it's time to start Niners at 9 from The Athletic. Joining us here, Matt Barrows, back here on the show. Matt, just Jason today. Dave is off this week. How are you after yet another Niners win?
I'm good, and we're now in sort of the bewitching hour of the season, which is when this team usually turns it on, and you're seeing it in these last two victories. I didn't think the Tampa Bay win was quite as sharp as the Jacksonville win, and I think that was partly due to the fact that Baker Mayfield, I thought, had a good game. I mean, didn't really get rattled the way that Trevor Lawrence did, and that helped them, stay in the game. When I say stay in the game, stay within two scores at the end there. And the fourth quarter was a little bit ragged for the 49ers, but the second and third quarters were outstanding, and really the game was won then. Yeah,
I thought the Niners were outplaying them when they were doing something that I felt like they used to do a little bit more a few years ago, where they would score enough times, but sometimes got too many field goals as opposed to touchdowns, because it felt like they were considerably better in the first half, and yet it was 13-7. You're like, you're a mistake or two away from being down, but that third quarter, the two touchdowns got the separation. But they did have to work for it all the way through the end, and I think you're right. I think Baker was more than game to just make the 49ers have to work for this win all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, the game plan always is to rattle the other quarterback, and the 49ers did that. And, I thought that Chase Young showed up well in his second game with the team. Nick Bosa is back to 2022 form, I think it's safe to say. But to his credit, Baker Mayfield kept, stepping up in the pocket and making plays and taking what the 49ers were giving him, and really not making any mistakes. I know that he had the interception in the end zone, but that I think that glanced off of somebody's helmet. But, so, I was sort of impressed by Baker Mayfield, a guy we saw back in 2019 with the Browns, and he's a much better player than he was at that point. One of the things that struck me with the 49ers is that they never really got their running game going, and that's how they really step on the necks of an opponent. And without that, they weren't able to really kind of finish off the Buccaneers in the second half. A couple of drives stalled out. They went for it on fourth down, and they couldn't get it. So I think it was a little bit odd from the 49ers. Usually it's a run-first game plan. From the offset, they were throwing the ball. You there?
Yeah. Did I lose you for a second?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Okay, good. So, Matt, let's go to the news. I guess if there's any news that's the toughest news of the day was the loss of Talanoa Hufanga. As they go forward, how do they replace him?
Well, I think you saw it in Jair Brown, and it was interesting because I don't think, if this injury had happened a couple of weeks earlier, it would have been Jair Brown who comes in. I think it would have been George Odom, the veteran. But Steve Wilkes said on Thursday that Brown had reached a point in the season where his confidence, his comfort in the defense had reached a point where they were more comfortable with him. So he came in, very aggressive guy, and maybe that aggression was a little bit too much on Sunday. He kind of stepped forward on a couple of passes. Even that pass that he broke up, the fourth down pass to Mike Evans in the end zone, seemed like he was a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too eager to take a step forward. He was able to recover on that play and eventually knock the ball away. But I think that's the risk you take in putting a rookie out there. He's going to make some rookie mistakes, and with Jair Brown, it's going to be mistakes of over-aggression. I think probably you want that rather than the other, especially with all the times that he's going to be playing up around the line of scrimmage, and you want him active as a tackler. But he came away with a good game. But it'll be a position to really kind of watch and scrutinize over these next few weeks.
Matt Barrows joining us from The Athletic. So, Matt, on that front about Hufanga, obviously in talent they're missing, but just what about the other intangibles, likability, leadership, kind of heartbeat of that defense in the back end? Obviously, there's so much up front that they do, but what are they going to miss with him there?
Yeah, I mean that's part of who he is. I mean he's a glue guy. He's great in the locker room. He's smart. One of the things that probably goes unnoticed with this 49ers defense is how few big plays they let up. And that's, a credit to Sean Gibson and to Talanoa Hufanga. And then you see, as soon as Hufanga leaves the game on the very next drive, they give up a 41-yard pass play. And that was due to Jair Brown. So, that's all part of it. I mean, he's really beloved on the team. They give out at draft time. They give out something called a gold helmet, and it's a very rare category that they give a draft pick. And only a handful of guys have gotten it over the last few years. But Hufanga is one of those guys. So he's got sort of the off the field, the leadership qualities you just noted. He's got a little bit of everything. So it's a big loss if this indeed turns out to be an ACL tear.
And when will we find that out? Later today, likely?
Yeah, he'll have MRIs up at Stanford Hospital, and interesting timing because Kyle Shanahan usually talks at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which would give him time to see all the medical reports. He's talking at 10 today because of the abbreviated work week, so I'm not sure whether we're going to have a definitive word from Shanahan at 10 o'clock about Hufanga's knee.
Gotcha. So we're talking with Matt Barrows. How about Brock Purdy yesterday? Just another game where he's on point, hitting receivers, all sorts of underneath routes, deep throws. He just looked like he was totally in control of his game yesterday.
Yeah, it was a Brock Purdy game, and like I said, I mean they came out throwing the ball and deciding early on that we're going to allow Brock Purdy to win this game for us, and we're not going to rely as heavily on our running game as we usually do. And Purdy was up to the challenge. I mean, he was just so efficient. He seemed to be seeing everything clearly. Even plays where he was under pressure and they had good coverage, he was still making the right decisions. Never put the ball in harm's way on Sunday. So, I mean, if you can kind of marry those two things, being very aggressive and not being risky at all with the ball, that's a coach's dream, and then you saw that reflected in his perfect passer rating.
So with that said, they got a little break too yesterday, Matt, with the win, and then Seattle losing. Now that could all flip-flop with a Seattle win on Thanksgiving, but how about the Niners with a little cushion going into the game and this matchup on the short week heading to Seattle this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's a repeat of last year where they beat the Buccaneers at home. That was Purdy's very first start, and then had a short week to play in Seattle, and that was for the division title. They could wrap it up with a win that week, and had to go up there, only 4 days to prepare. That was also the game that Purdy was suffering from a broken rib. And didn't throw at all during that week, and was really literally I'm not even going to say game day decision. He was a kickoff decision for the 49ers. They were about to go to Josh Johnson in that game, but Purdy rallied with the help of a pain blocker and then had a terrific game up in Seattle, and they took care of business and they won the division. So my point being is that they've actually had a harder challenge, this very similar scenario, and rose to it last year. So you would expect that they could do it again this year.
Yeah, as far as Seattle goes, too, I saw some of that game yesterday. I know Geno got banged up. He came back in. Walker got hurt for them. So, I mean, this is a team that obviously the Seahawks need the game, but they're coming in banged up into this one.
Yeah, and, the injury reports in a short week are always very kind of dicey. They're all estimates because there's really no practice whatsoever. the 49ers will have a very, very light walkthrough on Tuesday, and I expect the Seahawks to have the same. So it'll be a game where, backups are going to have to come to the forefront. The 49ers will have one probably in Jair Brown, and who knows how many Seahawks will kind of have to step up. So it makes the Thursday games interesting, and some say it's what makes the Thursday games bad. But this will be a fun one to watch in Seattle.
Did you tell us last week, Matt, if I remember right, you get the assignment, you're going to spend Thanksgiving in Seattle?
Yeah, I'll fly up Thursday morning and then spend maybe 24 hours, a little bit more than 24 hours in Seattle, and then fly right on back.
Well, I know you've been to basically every place. I haven't been to a football game in that stadium. How would you describe that atmosphere? Obviously on TV, it looks amazing. Is it as loud in there as it appears to be?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm not sure the latter day 49ers would say this, the ones that played the Legion of Boom up there, but almost to a person, you ask the 49ers what their favorite place, outside of Levi's Stadium to play in is, and they say Seattle, just because of that atmosphere. I mean, these guys hate turf, so already, Seattle. Exactly, but I think it's the atmosphere, it's the noise, it's the energy level. That's all for the home team, of course, but when you're the visitor, you feel it too. And it gets your heart racing, and I think these guys really love playing up there.
Well, they know there's a lot on the line this week. First place in store there for the 49ers are already there, but Seattle could tie them and have that early tiebreaker. Plus, the Niners, I know they're not going to do this, but fans might, but it's Seahawks, Eagles, Seahawks. This next three is really going to be fun for the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna show who they are for sure. I mean, I've been saying since April that they triple underscored that December 3rd game in Philadelphia. I mean, they feel like there's unfinished business there. And you've got that game bookended by your biggest division rival. In the last quarter century, it's been the Seahawks and the 49ers. So makes it very interesting and just a great stretch.
Well, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time up there. We look forward to talking to you next Monday. Enjoy your time up there, and we'll talk to you soon, Matt.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That is the great Matt Barrows from The Athletic joining us, giving us some insight on the Niners, that injury to Talanoa Hufanga. We should get more confirmation as the week goes on, and certainly maybe later today. But a short week, quick turnaround, Niners and Seahawks coming up on Thursday. When we come back, the Kings, their quest